Hey, it's Don, the Auction Professor. Today is the critique day. We are going to critique GTOR 6723, one of our subscribers here. He's got a newer store. It's actually not too bad at all. He's got some issues, obviously. Just as everybody, even myself, has some issues. I learn stuff constantly. And I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to point out some things. This is a little easier on this one because there isn't a ton of listings. So this is a good example and kind of gives us a good start here. So if everybody's happy with this and everybody thinks this is a good way to go, I will try and do some more of these, and maybe it'll help some people out more directly. Anything I'm going to say is literally based on business and nothing more than that. This is literally what, I tell people or have told people. This is what my boss has told me, things along this line, to address and fix issues. All we're worrying about here is trying to increase someone's sales, whether it's mine, yours, or anybody else's. So, no comments or any snide remarks in the feedback. I will delete those right away. Again, we're here to help everybody. We don't want any negativity here. Again, anything I'm going to say is literally just business related. And literally working in a restaurant as a general manager or a regional manager, everybody's blunt. I'm used to being blunt. I'm just going to say it like I see it. And again, no offense, no anything else to take on this. This is just the way I am. So we're going to start here. I've opened up a few already. On some of the listings here now, what I would do on these is your very first picture for your listing, you actually just want to have a zoom in, and you've got it at an angle, is the only thing that I would say. You'd want to correct the angle of the shoot so you're shooting dead down straight onto the book. And what I would do, you see where the mouse is, go right across, do a horizontal chop down or crop on the photo above where the word "the" is, and then come down the side of the magazine, staying in the illustrated area, and then chop it just below the waist, and then come back up the side by the B. So basically you want to zoom in like you see on the big picture, but without any white showing of the best part of the book. That should be your very, very first picture on things like this. Don't worry about the ruler in the image on the first image. Your first image you want for your gallery view or for the search view, the very first image you want to draw them in. And when you've got other things cluttering the image, the ruler, like for example, it's fine to have the ruler in there, but you need to have the ruler in the second photo. Don't put that in the first photo. Don't put anything else other than the object. And again, as I said, try and get a straight down shot of the item. If you can't do it straight down, lean it up against the wall and tape the piece of paper, the square, your paper square, to that paper so it'll stand up against the wall, and just stand the book up and take a straight shot of it leaning against the wall, flush against the wall. That'll give you a better angle and a better chance on getting these in here. Because the image is a nice image. This book does sell. I didn't look up every item, but I looked up some of the items to see what the history was on. You should sell this one. I don't see anything wrong with it other than the image I would fix. And again, you've got the third photo is actually a little closer than the first one, it looks like. But you can actually just download this photo and re-up it and then chop it down so that you'll have 4 photos on here, which is fine. Or take this one here and move it up to the front, or this one here, and then chop it down so you're only doing the highlight of the key art area in the book. That's what I would do. And another thing, it just looks weird, I guess. Let's see if you had a couple others like that, or they're all like that. Yeah, I'm not a big one on caps all across, and a lot of people don't use caps. People think it draws more attention to it. I don't personally see any difference. If you really want to use caps, that's your call, but I personally would take off the caps. Don't go ahead and spend time, on your other listings. If you're relisting them, maybe, but I wouldn't really mess with fixing the ones, at least for the title-wise. It's kind of like you're yelling at them, I guess, and I don't really care, and I never pay attention. I don't know anybody who really does on all the caps. Personally, let's just see if you've got them on all of them. I wouldn't do the all caps. That's just me. It just, capitalize the first letter of all the key words, and like the word "of" or something like that, you might not need to capitalize, but that's just me. Another issue, just looking at let's see if I can find another one here. I know some of your listings you've got 3 and 4 different geez, now I can't find one of them. Let's look in the middle here again. You had multiple, yeah, like here's another example. You don't have the same descriptions. They're all different on several different options. You want to have consistency across every single listing. Yeah, on your return policy, I looked at several of them. You've got some that still say, you know, paid return, the buyer needs to pay it. You really need to have, again, consistency across all of your listings. Like here's another one. This one doesn't have anything down at the bottom. Again, you don't really need a ton down in here. And even on like this one here, once we receive it, you're giving them doubt on whether you're going to approve it. I would never ever make a statement like that. Now, this is fine the way you've got it written because you've got it, you know, normal sentences, capital letter only in the beginning of the sentence and all. You know, unlike, you know, some of your other listings here, and you're you know, bold, and then you've got different texts. I would really literally keep everything the same. You want consistency, so if they look at one listing, they know what they're going to get in every single listing you have. Literally, consistency, consistency, consistency. That's the key thing for any national company to succeed. You have to have consistency. For any business to you know, succeed, you have to have consistency across the board on what your listings are. Everyone should look identical. Yeah, but just some of the wording on here I might want to, like here, I cannot stress this enough. You know, they can send it back for any reason. You know, if you're doing 30-day returns, none of this is necessary on here. You know, they can return it for whatever reason, you know, and there should never be a doubt. If they want to return something, you know, don't put the inspection in here, because that's going to turn off people right now. If I was looking at this, I probably wouldn't buy from you just because of that, because then I'd be like, well, what's his definition of inspection? Is he going to think a tiny little mar that was probably there already is an issue or not? So, you know, that's just something that I would really worry about. And I would address that. I would personally remove that whole thing on there. You know, don't tell them how they get the refunds. The item comes back, it's the same as it was, fine. You know, otherwise, you know, you're going to run into an argument with them, or they're just not going to buy it from you because they're going to be afraid of that statement. Like in even the returns, to be eligible for return, you're giving them, you know, doubts in my book. You know, from a standpoint, eBay has a policy for returns. You're doing the 30-day, they have to return the entire thing, they have to follow the process, and they have to file a return through eBay, and it tells them everything they can and can't do. You know, so regardless of what you put in your listing, that means nothing. The only thing that matters is the eBay policy. You can add some more things to it and say you have to do this or you have to do that, but they don't even have to honor that. Anybody who's been on eBay enough knows that, you know, eBay follows their policy, and if you have something above and beyond that, they necessarily do not have to follow that. And definitely, like the people who say no returns, you have to take a return. Doesn't matter if the item's wrong or something's wrong with it, you have to take a return. You know, so I would eliminate some of this, and you know, you've got too much in there. You know, 30 days is fine, you know, you've got all this stuff, but that's literally the standard policy across the board. Listings literally say, you know, you've got a 30-day return policy, especially if you're going to get like the top rated or anything like that. It says right here 30-day return. So, you know, you don't have to double up on that. I would literally just keep this space down here. Keep it simple. Anybody checking from their phones probably isn't going to see any of this anyway, and you probably got 30% of everybody who's looking and buying stuff nowadays are off their phones. I look all the time and buy stuff like clothing, even for the wife sometimes. So, you know, I would literally limit some of this. A refund to your credit card or original payment method. Now, it's only a credit card or PayPal, really, literally, anyway. So, and chances are you're probably just taking PayPal would be my guess. But, yeah, PayPal credit. So, and this is PayPal. Yeah, see, all your stuff is through PayPal. So, you know, you don't. That's unnecessary information. It means nothing because you're still going to be going through PayPal no matter what. You have to give them the money back, otherwise, you know, they can just claim it, and eBay's going to give them the money back anyway. So a lot of this is unessential. It's just going to scare off some people or you've got too many stipulations, or you're going to notify them. You're making it hard on them, I would say, personally. I don't worry about any of that kind of stuff. I don't put that in there. I'm not going to prove anything. You send it back, and that's it. You know, if it's fine, I give it to you. If not, you know, then I'm going to say, hey, you didn't do something. Your policy isn't as important as what eBay says. eBay says it in a 30-day free returns. They have to return 100% of the item in the exact same condition it was in when you sent it to them. So if it's not like that, you know, regardless, they have to, you know, compensate for you for it. So you can get 50% of your money back and, you know, take it return or whatever the case may be, or just offer them a certain percentage of it back. But on something like this, you have to give them the money back. So, I mean, there's just no reason. Again, I would really simplify this. I wouldn't put the returns, the refunds, and all this kind of stuff. I would just do a paragraph up here that says, you know, hey, this is the item, what it is. Keep it all uniform. Don't mix up and like the red in here. You know, you can't stress this enough. That, I don't know, that to me personally, as a person who's ran many businesses, that sounds like you're coming off a little hard. Then right after, I'll be happy to accommodate your questions. So, you know, I just wouldn't address it that way personally. Let's see here. This is fine. The picture shown in a picture of the actual item for purchase. Fine. Hover your mouse over. You don't need to put that up there. They're automatically going to see it if they're looking up here. And if they're not, you know, you did what you were supposed to do. I don't have issues like that. I've never had somebody, you know, say anything about, you know, I couldn't hover or anything like that. But if you don't have a hover picture, I wouldn't put it up. You know, a good picture overall, good 600 dpi or somewhere in that range, I would guess you're probably doing at least, just by, you know, the effect of enlargement. But I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I would literally take care of getting rid of some of this, because again, your policy already says it up here. You've already got the 30-day. eBay already tells them they have to send it back the way it was. And if they don't know that, that is 100% on them. I would never, you know, join into something, sign the user agreement without at least checking something out. So again, eBay is going to side with you if they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So it doesn't matter what you got in your listings, truthfully. And uniformity, as I said, uniform. Every listing description on the bottom basically should be the same. I'm guilty of it for some of my first ones. I haven't changed them as they go, and you know, through attrition, they're going to be gone. So any new ones we've done in the last year, or well, actually 2 or 3 years now, are set up all the same. Every listing. I don't care if it's a book, card, or anything. Every one looks the same in the description section. We don't put anything for the condition other than up here in the condition line. That's literally, you want to put these more so people from their phones can do them too. And anybody from using a phone needs to see it up here on the top. So, and if you're not sure what shows up and you know how you can see it and how easily it is to see it, look at one of your listings from your own phone and see how it is. You know, you're not violating any rules, so it's not going to point anything out here when you're looking at eBay per se, but you know, when you look at the listing, you will see the difference. So let's go on there, and again, crop the photos. You want to draw these folks in from literally just scanning up here. This is a good example right here. You've got it filling the entire screen, this item. Every listing on here should look like that. Should be a full screen. This should be zoomed right up to, it's over here with the picture of, I believe that's probably the president there. Yeah, that's the president in that one. So you want to just crop it so you can see just like right about there on this photo here, and then come up to here. I wouldn't put rare in here either. Very few things are actually rare. They made, you know, I don't know, a couple 100,000 of these, I would say. And then I would definitely put the, let's see, I would definitely put which edition, if this is a U.S. printed or an overseas printed too. I didn't look where this was at, but I would probably put this, if it's not, and put this in a in the World War II section, like personal gear. I know there's a separate section for newspapers, but I try not to put it in there because everybody's got it in there. Here's another one that I would look at too. I would remove association and 22nd annual reunion. And if this isn't in the World War II section, I would put this in the World War II section. I would just put vets literally. 9th Infantry Division Veterans Scarce Book. You know, don't put anything else in there. Just leave it at that. Don't tell them it's an association or 22nd annual reunion. Stuff like this, people aren't as happy to buy the reunion items as they would if it was like a vet item. So the title alone would deter some people who collect the military. Now I collect military sometimes in some items, and I sell to a ton of military collectors, so I personally would say that's what you'd want to do to help it sell. Let's go through some of these here, because I did open up some separate ones. Like this one here, I would literally take this one down. It's literally a chopped up card. This is something you'd want to put in a like a lot of these. If you got 10 or 15, you know, junked up cards, then you'd put them up in there. But this will not sell, I can tell you right now. And again, if you did have this up and it was a card, you just want to zoom in on the girl. Take everything else out of the main picture. So your first picture, the one that's showing up here, all of these need to be zoomed in, all of them. Again, I wouldn't, if you're in the process, I wouldn't come back in and mess a whole bunch of up, but some of these you're going to have to adjust. You're going to sell them better if that's all they can see. It draws attention to your listing over everybody else's when you do that. At least the majority who aren't doing that. And the majority of people do not zoom in on their first image. I can tell you, because I've looked at a ton of listings. Let's see here. And again, I would just throw this in that same lot, put it as a scrapbooking lot, sell all the pieces like this. This is a cut card. The cut cards themselves aren't worth anything in this category, or in this card. The cards themselves, you can see right down here even, sell in the $7.99 or $7.95 to 99-cent range. This is one of those that's going to be a long draw, even as a card. So take this down and put it in the lot with the other ones, and you have a few other ones. I would just pile them on one lot and put them up for $14.95 or $17.95. All those cut cards. And unlike on here, let's just see down here too. Return policy. I know on some of your returns, as I said, you have the fact that they have to still pay for returns. And none of this approval stuff, because you have to take it back. You're giving them too many doubts right off the bat again. And I'm not going to bring that up again. We've already went in here. Don't put inspecting and all this stuff in there. If it's not the way it is, you don't worry about it. You file against them, you call eBay, whatever it takes. But that's everybody knows it has to be returned the way it's supposed to be. If they don't, they're trying to scam you anyway. So anyway, we won't bring that up. But again, uniformity. On these, now these are, the image is actually washed out. I wouldn't put a ruler on this one. I would bundle them, push them in together like in a round layout, and then turn them on a side. I wouldn't do these straight on shots. You're not seeing much of the card in your main image, and your image is a little washed out. You don't need the ruler, though, on these items at all, because everybody knows if somebody's buying a Tootsie Toy card, they know what they are. They don't need to know what size they were. It's just wasted space. And you've got a ton of empty space up on the top of this. So if you put it in a ball, you can literally crop right up to the cars where only the cars are showing. And I have a test sheet I use up on here, and like on your white, it's washed out. I don't know if you don't have enough light, it looks like, maybe, or something along that line, and it's not quite in focus. If you're using a phone, I would seriously think about getting a full-fledged SLR camera of some sort, even if it's a used, like a Kodak or one of the little, like, I don't know, 3-4-year-old Kodaks now, the $300 or $400 cameras you can get for like $100 now, used on eBay, and they still work just fine. I can show some in the video here soon too. But again, center these together and chop off all that extra space. What you want on, again, back to here, what you want on all of these images, even on this one, is you want it to be centered. So the block that I'm highlighting in, you want to zoom in so you can see it that good on, when you're browsing. Like on here, like you want to be able to browse up and just see that item. So again, this one I would have put together, drop the ruler out. The price is fine. Make an offer is fine. Everything else on here, you did the pricing very well. Good job on that. Mixed lot. I wouldn't put mixed lot. Don't ever worry about mixed in there. Just put lot of six cars, and that's literally it. The one thing that I would take out the word metal and put die cast. You've already got metal up here, so you've got it in there twice. Die cast is what you want. These are die cast metal cars. You don't necessarily need the word metal, but die cast. If you put Tootsie die cast cars, they're going to know exactly what you got. These are people that collect these. They know what they are. So same here again. This one, white background. White background. You don't ever clutter it up with anything else. It's distracting. It's hard to tell what's there. And the other thing is you want to shoot straight down on these when you're doing them. Don't get this distorted. I know I have a few that are in the past that maybe have the same angle until I figured out there's a stand you can get. If you don't have the money for a stand, again, shoot these, lean them up flat against the wall. This book will stand up on its own. I almost guarantee you, because I do yearbooks all the time. And if you stand them up against the wall, you can take a straight shot. That's what you want. But again, white backgrounds and everything. If you don't have a big enough white background, just get yourself a big piece of muslin white fabric, pure white from Joann Fabrics or something. It's really cheap. You can get them probably for like $1 a square yard or somewhere in that range, or a couple bucks. Sheets are fine. If that's what you have to do. But white background, gotta be. Good items here. It's a shame that they weren't a little earlier on these here, or even a little later. On these, I honestly wouldn't put these in a lot. If these were all World War II content items, and they're not Vietnam either, so I'd really be careful on that. I would take these apart and list them individually for like $17.50. And what I would do is highlight on an image of a soldier or some really, let's see here, on the bottom left on the main image on the right here, there's a General Craig. I would center in on there and show part of the title and, list that in the description. And I would, price them, at $14.50. If these were war issues, you'd probably have sold them already. well, I would almost definitely think he would have sold them. Or if these are like Vietnam War or Korean War themselves. But if I remember right, the dates were all in the like 48, 49, 47, something like that. Good items again. Even though they are post-war, they're still good items. But you probably won't find somebody willing to sink that much money into these at all for something post-war. That's just the way it is. I still list them in the World War II section. Good section to list them in. You might, like, if you split them up into individual ones, or even like, I don't know, maybe even 2 at a time or something. It says you got 19. I personally would probably maybe 5 a piece or something, maybe, if you don't want to, list 19 separate auctions, maybe 5 a piece and 4 in the last one, and do 4 listings and put them up for like $47.50 or $57.50 for each 5 of them. Which is actually more than you would get out of them at your $210, but no one's going to sink, I think, in my personal opinion, that much into something post-war. So, again, that's just a personal recommendation. Again, you got the brown background. Just throw a white sheet down on the ground if that's what you got to do. Make them a little brighter, too, your photos in general. And again, like on the condition, put the condition up there. I wouldn't worry about it on any of this other stuff. I'd take extra photos and all that. I wouldn't really worry about that at all. That means nothing to somebody buying, and if they're on their phone, it means even less, because most people do not click on the description. They look up here at your listing. This is what they see as like a shortened version of this, and the condition lines where they're going to look at, so that's it. You could have typed in end condition up here on the top and put if there was condition, and I usually just put in decent condition. Okay condition's fine too. Okay doesn't sound as good as decent, I've played this both ways with hundreds of different auctions. Decent comes off better than okay. Okay is kind of bad, but decent can mean several different things, and not to be confusing or try and mislead anybody, but to me it's decent anyway. I don't try to put good even when it's like awesome condition, just because I don't want to overestimate anything or make a mistake on it. But those are some more issues here. This is a good lot. It's actually lower than I would have probably put on this one here personally. I would have probably put $34.50 or $37.50 and just take whatever. But you're going to sell this if you zoom in on like that Holiday Inn with the car hop out there. Put the oldest ones in, like that Cape Cod looks like an older one. Put some good images. This mobile one would be a good one, and zoom in like a real close on like 3 or 4 items with the real key images. Like, let me chop up on this one here, like this one here. Now we're little, there we go. Like just like the gas station part or something in here. Put a big lot. It doesn't matter if they only can see 1 or 2 in your main image. You want to draw them in with something that's cool out of that lot. That gas station image with the mobile, the Pegasus on there, that would draw them in. Just zoom in maybe even on that and say big lot, and only show that one picture to get somebody in there to look at your auction. It's too muddled. Even you've got more brown in here. You can see the wood. White background. I try to do that on every single thing I have, unless the camera won't take it because of glare or something along that line. But again, that's what you need to do. You need to literally zoom in on that mobile station or something and only show that as your very first picture. But again, that's what I would do. But again, down here, consistency. Again, here we are again with the same differences in the bottom. You've got return policy on one, which I wouldn't even have put all that in there. Again, as I said, you don't really need that. They've got to follow the eBay rules, and the eBay rules, as I said, say to return it in the way it was sent, complete. Otherwise, they don't get their money all back. Or you don't have to take the return. Or you can send it back to them and vice versa. So anyway, let's move on here. Again, this one's here different again. Missing some information, you've got it bolded. Keep it all the same. Keep it all the same. Uniformity. And on here, you want to sell this a little better? Zoom in just on Janet. Just do a crop, and that should be your main image. Who cares if it's all across a shirt? And the other thing I would do when you're doing a shirt here is iron it off a little bit. It's bad taste, I guess, when you're trying to sell the image and the image has wrinkles on it. And one more issue on here. This is no here. Here's another one. Can be cleaned up with a quick wash. You have to sell cleaned clothing. You can't sell uncleaned clothing. So that could get you into some issues here. They should never have to worry about something like that. So just keep that in mind. You're supposed to have clean, washed clothing to sell. You can take photos now and don't wash it until you sell it. Wash it the night before or something if you don't want to run and wash all these clothes. That's fine. But they're supposed to be clean. I would never tell them they have to wash a shirt. It's just bad practice. Just keep that in mind. Nothing wrong with selling clothing. The price looks good. It's a decent shirt. I wouldn't be surprised if this does sell at that $54.95 price, because it is a decent. But you want to zoom in, show literally this crop right below the J of Janet and right up above her head, and just a couple inches on either side of her. Just show her, and I would literally, I probably wouldn't put the word rare in there. I hardly ever use the word rare. I would put the word sexy in there. That's what I would put. Good, bad, or indifferent. That's going to sell it. Let's see here. Move on to the next one. Again, back to the return. Let's not bring that up again. We've already talked about that. White backgrounds here again. Now again, your main photo, you can't tell any specifics in it. You've got some nameage in here, but I would literally zoom in and look up some of these and pick the best one. In fact, let's see, the one in the bottom, or let's see. Let me click over there so we can point it out a little better. I would put this one here as the main image, and you can show part of the other ones. And you can just upload a copy or even use this same photo and crop it closer to it. But I would literally stay away from all these wooden backgrounds personally. Let's see here. Title's fine. Hilton wouldn't be a big draw though. You want one of the smaller oddball hotel resorts, or one that has a casino if you have one in the lot. But let's see here. Price is good. I might have put that a little higher too, just FYI. And I would probably check on your well, you're in the same zone as me. That still seems pretty cheap for shipping, so you might want to check that weight again too. Just FYI, I don't think I could have shipped that for that cheap, not with all this glass. So if you don't have a scale big enough to weigh it all, weigh a couple and then throw the boxes on there. It might take you a few extra moments, but that's what you need to do for something like this. It may be right too, so don't get me wrong, but I would double check that one. Again, right here, close up on a couple of the books. Put like a 4-section book together. Put like crop it like right up here, where you can just see nothing but the Snoopy parts of it. Don't show these distance shots. And also, I would look at some of the dates in here. I wouldn't put huge either, because huge to me is like thousands, and as well to other people. And I don't put the condition in the title usually, unless it's a record, because that's key important. Book-wise, if it's a lot, the condition's going to vary. And the other thing I would put, some of these look like, one of them's missing a cover, I see. The Snoopy on the bottom row looks like a 50s version. Yeah, you can't win. Those are 50s versions, I would guess, or like 61, 62s. I've had pretty much all of these. I would put those as the key picture. Let's do this. Like these here, push these together now that I see these. Like this section down here. Pack in the best, most expensive items in the lot when you're doing this as the key photo, and don't show any other background, just those items, 100%, nothing else, 100% of the item itself, just a close-up of the best parts of the items. Those will honestly sell these better. And I've sold sets in the same price range, the same amount, so there's nothing wrong with what you got, and there's nothing wrong with the price. With your shipping now here is I would say, is off. This goes media, so I don't know what service you have here. I try to literally put the specific type of shipping so they know how it's coming. It may be in here too, but I don't think mine says expedited on any of them. But anyway, but that's what I would do in here. I would put like a date, put 50s if there's a first edition, and I always center this down. Charlie Brown, you don't have to put the and in there. When they're searching these items, they're not putting the word in and. Whatever you put in the title is what you want them to be using the keywords to search. Nobody's going to be typing in huge to search for an item, for a lot. Vintage is fine. Peanuts is fine. Again, I don't like the all caps, but again, that's your preference. That's fine. But you don't have to waste the time with the and things like that, truthfully. And you've got the VG here as well, as I said. And, that's what I would do with this one, too. Let's see here. This one here, I would list this in the military, World War II or Korean War section. This one actually might be World War II. The ship itself does look that way. And that's where I would put this. You're going to sell it way quicker in the World War II section. And if you look up LST1178, it may be something very specific, some action or something. And if they saw combat during World War II in a specific one, and the same ship was there, this may be a valid World War II ashtray. You may be able to put it up for even a little higher, possibly. So prices fine on shipping. Everything else looks good. Consistency again, so let's just not go back on that one. Let's see here. These are all washed out, just FYI on this one here. It's hard to tell on these. It's something that's you're probably going to end up selling fairly well, but I would, kind of address the picture, or put like this one here. This picture looks far better than the main picture you got. This is all washed out. You know, that would be a key issue with me. And this one's badly washed out too. And I, again, like this one here, crop it around the image. Get as close as you can. Just leave like just a tiny little bit of white around, and that should be your first image. The very first thing you see, again, over here in this column. So when they're browsing for your stuff, you just want it. Get rid of all these rulers in your main image. Just have the item itself. You don't want them to know that it's small or large or whatever the case may be, because they might not be collecting that. But once they look at your listing, they might be drawn in by the item already, and the size won't matter. So that's just what I would say in this. And like on something like this, you don't really need a ruler on this one. Anybody looking for this specific piece knows what it is and the size of it. Same with like the ashtray. Zoom in on the ashtray, show the best one, what's worth the most in here, and that's what I would get into. Bonanzas, I've sold some of those in the past, so it just depends on where they're from. But again, washed out photos, so watch out on that. Better photo quality on some of these. And we learned our lesson. We had some photo issues, and I've still got some old, since we've got so many listings that I need to do some work on too. So everybody has those issues. This one here I pulled out. You've got 1890s. You got to watch out, because this is a brand new one. This is a new reproduction of this thing here. This is not a real piece, so I would really watch out. You've got it marked as used in 1890s. That's misleading, unless you put reproduction in the title. So just keep that in mind. This is not an original. Price-wise, it's not bad, and everything else about it looks pretty decent. But other than that, your shipping weight on this might be bad, only because if you send this, you're either going to send it rolled, and you're probably going to end up with 5 or 6 ounces, which would be $3.75. Or I personally send these flat, and they run around 6 or 7 ounces. Anything in that size dimension, well, actually it would be more than that. You've got 16 by 24, so you're going to have to roll this. You can roll these two in a square box. I can show you how to do that. You turn it into a triangle if anybody's interested. It's real quick to do, and it's a time series. You can cut down a big box and send 4 things for the same price of 1 if they're posters like this. But I'll probably have another video coming out on packing up too. So let's move on to the next one. Nice card. I don't know how many of these. Again here, zoom in on the card itself. Cut off all the size and all that stuff. You don't want them to know all that stuff without having to get them to look in on your auction, because once they're in there, it's like pulling them into your store. Once they're in the door, you can try and push the sales from there. But zoom in. Just show this. Just show the image with no white space. You can crop these down, and it'll adjust the photo to match it on the main, the browsing photo. And I'm not going to go back into the details down there again, as I said. Let's see here. This one, just take it down. This is not going to sell. I can promise you that 100%. Too damaged. Way too damaged. Now, if this wasn't damaged, you'd probably get $7, $8, $10 for this card, I would guess. It's a cute dog. Dogs like this, it's a nice dog. It looks like a British kind, too, of some sort. But I would take that one down. You're not going to sell it. Let's see here. And this one here now, everybody knows that your sketches are red. Now your photo, I don't know if this is like a burgundy version or something, but again, you're washed out in the photo on that one anyway. And again, you want the close-ups here. You want to blow up so you've got just like a hair of white all the way around it and shoot straight down on these items. That's what I would do. I would also shake off. It looks like it needs to be shaken off or, stirred, because I can see some of it. Or draw something on the image. Draw your G-Tor on it or something, put something on it so they can see, and just do a close-up of that. Try to match the color. If this is a red one, make it match the red. If it's not red, put this is a oddball color or something in there. Decent item, I would imagine. I mean, I don't know this one per se, but it looks like a decent item. And the price looks fair if it is as scarce as it is, so that's not bad at all. Let's see here. This one needs to go in magazines as well too. The Yank is a magazine. I know it might not look like it, and you've got way too much information. Limit all the volume and stuff. Just put a year. Make them come in and look at it. Don't give them all the information, because if they don't want that specific issue, they may not even look at it. They might just pass your listing by. So what you want is just put Yank magazine, and this looks like it's actually a French edition, because you've got British, but if you look up here, it's a 3 francs. Now 3 francs would be France. So I never put the history. I don't waste the time on any of that. If you really want to, that's fine. And I would never put maybe missing a page. I'm not sure. You'd either know it's complete or not complete. You telling them that it might not be complete means you're not taking the time out to make sure that it's okay. It wouldn't be in okay condition if it's missing a page. It would be in poor or fair condition if it was missing a page, because it would be incomplete. Incomplete kills it right off the bat. So always make sure that it's all there. Or just don't put that in there and take your shot at it. If you've got thousands of magazines, I don't look at every single page. I haven't taken a hit yet. I usually flip through them enough to see if there's no cut-ups or anything weird looking. I just list them that way. And again, I haven't had a return on one missing a page yet. But again, that's just what I do. It's fine like this if you just have like this. But again, I wouldn't put this stressing and all these other things and this and that you. And I wouldn't put, that you missed a flaw or anything. If you missed one, you missed one, but I wouldn't offer the information that you may have missed something. Again, it goes back to an okay condition, but it may be missing a page. So you've got contradicting statements in there. You just want to be careful on that. So, and again, I'm not criticizing anything. This is a learning experience for everybody. Even myself learns something every day that I do this. So again, no offense, no disrespect whatsoever. Overall, it's a decent story you got going on here. And again, I would zoom in and show cut up right there at the word yank, put it so they can see the 3 francs, and then show the tank and then the soldiers with the gun down to the gun. Get rid of all the extra background. Cut it so you even cutting off part of the magazine. That should be your first image. No wood background. Let's see here. I'd take this down too. You're not going to sell this. I can tell you right off the bat. You're hard pressed to ever sell something like this. If you're going to put paper up, it's got to be paper of an advertisement. These little ads like this won't sell. I can tell you right now. It's not going to be something that sells. Let's see here. Now this one here, you need to raise the price on this one to like $45. And I would put one up at a time or put them in separate listings and list them, like a day apart if you're going to do it that way. This is a very, very, very nice original. Probably, I think you're actually off on the year, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure on German as much as I am American ones. But I would again zoom in and show the colorfulness of this, just show ADI and cut her at the flower line and show her bust down to the word cream down there as the main image. And the second image was fine here, but you want to put so you can see all the measurements on here. And what you want to do on this one here is take it out of the inferium and put it in Victorian Trade Cards Other. I know that may sound weird, but I put every single label in there and I sell them far better in the Victorian Trade Card section than I do in the paper sections. I can promise you that that's a fact because I do it all the time. Everything else is fine. This one, again, I would raise the price on them, definitely. It may sit there for a little while, but this is a very attractive label to me. And I looked this one up because I haven't seen it. I couldn't even find a copy of this. So you've got the field on this one. If there was a buy box, you have it on this item. This is a very good item. Highlight it, as I said. This is your main item here. Your second item is so much better than your main item. Or your main photo. But this one here, I would even chop down to literally, as I said, just show the lady, the bust, down to the word cream, cut it on either side of her so you're cutting off part of the wording on the right, and all of the title ADI should be in it. That's what you want. That's going to help push this item and move it to the Victorian Trade Card section. Just put fab and that in there, and probably put 19th century would be what I would guess. Or at least just put it in that section and get rid of the 1920s. I really think this one's probably older, but again, I could be wrong. The style of her dress is at the very latest, say 1910, or the style of her outfit would be my guess, 1910-ish or so, or earlier. And I really think it's earlier by the hair and the whole works. Even the jewelry kind of dictates that. But anyway, that's a very nice piece. I would be very happy to have found that, especially if you've got 2 of those. It's a nice piece. I was very impressed with that one, honestly. That's probably one of my favorite pieces you have in there. Is I love the paper labels, and that is really attractive. Let's see here. So that was a good find. I was really impressed with that one. Here, turn these to the side. Turn them correctly. Don't skimp on that. And then again, show it straight up. Looking straight on it, and right-wise. Show it the right way. Let's see here. This one I couldn't tell you on the price, but that's probably about decent price to put it on. You got to make it offer, so everything else is fine on that. And again, here's a good example of your title. no caps all the way across. It's a nice example. Now, sometimes I cut and paste other people's titles when I'm looking up stuff, so you may have done that too. I don't try to do that anymore these days. I'll cut it, plop it over there, and then I'll alter the text to, so it's not all caps. It's just me. Again, it may not be something you care to do. Don't want to waste the time. That's fine. Again, don't take this constructively. This one here, move this into the World War II section and add Mickey Mouse to it. They were taking off on it, calling it a rat. That's literally Mickey Mouse. It's a write-off on him. Disney actually did a lot of the military badges, Naval Training Services or something. I think NTS stands for something along the line. Put it in World War II section. That's what I would do. Price-wise, probably okay. Let's see here. I thought I zoomed in on when there was a list of the people. Yeah, here it is. You might want to look and see if there's like any officers listed in here too. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes the name of the person in there could make it worth something too. So anyway, overall though, decent store. You got some decent items up. I'm not a big fan of clothing, but you've got a decent grouping of them up. You got to start somewhere. So again, that's not bad at all. So let's see here. These pennants, again, zoom in on like the main image and the pennants. Pennants, good item. You got a real good item, decent price. Decent price there as well too. Decent item, but again, zoom in on these items. On this one, you're going to have some white in it, but you need to have zoomed in on it. This one's here, it's too dark. You need to zoom in and crop it right around the image here for the main image. That's key things that I see here. And I might not have put in the cake topper, mini cupcakes or anything like that. I might have just zoomed in and called it a figure. You're not lying, you're not making anything up. It's a figure. It's cute, adorable Disney figure. Capitalized D in the Disney and the Mona though. I'm a nutso on that. So again, you might have just copied that off another listing or something. Again, zoom in on the plane. If that's a 747, put 747 in there. Travel guide, something along the line. Pan Am, limited Pan Am release book or something along the line. Again, here's another one. Zoom in on all these. I mean, these might be good items to sell, but you got to zoom in on them. You got to show a better example of what you got. It's hard to tell. They look like they're in dingy condition from here, but they may not. Just like on this one here, these colors are too clashing. Your brown background clashes with the design in here, and it really makes for an odd image for your visual image here. It might be a great item, but you want to have white backgrounds. And if you have to hang them up that way, you can just put a piece of paper behind it. Just get a big sheet or a piece of paper or something and put it behind it. Even if it's something you just put up just for that day. We'll put sometimes, when we have big, huge items, a big sheet of paper or our Muslim cloth down on the ground in the kitchen. If I got to get a ladder out, I'll get a ladder out and we'll shoot a whole bunch of big items like that. Like these, I would have probably zoomed in on some of the better games and just done a close-up of just some of the items. They see what's on the lot, so they don't have to go in and look at the listing when you do it that way. You want them to come in on the listing because it's a like window shopping. When you pull them into the store, there's a better chance of them buying if they're looking inside on your auction details as opposed to just looking at your picture. Limit some of what you show so they have to come and see it. And like here's another example. It's fine to zoom in, but you've cut off a sleeve on here. In the white background, again, it's a clash. Same here. I don't do the outside shots. That's all you can do. That's fine. I understand. But you can get those light kits. I think $60 off of Amazon. You can get a light kit if you don't have the big lights here too. You can make them too. I've made a pair. You can look on some of my other videos on what we did and how I set them up. I've sold these. These usually do sell too. On these, they'll center in just on these sitting up like they're on it. At the same level as them, parallel to them, like you're looking straight at them and they're looking at you. That's what you'd want. I usually never lay them down on here unless I have no other option. I try to put them like sitting there on a white total background and zoom in on them. It's very hard to see the detail on this. You're way too far back on it. So you may not have micro lenses or anything, but that would be something you might want to look into. If you've got a decent camera, you can swap out and get micro lens sets, a 4 power set for like $10-15. Just like this one, I would zoom in again. This one, zoom in. It's hard to tell on this one here, but I may have put the actual label off the back to say what it is as the image. Let's see here. I mean, overall, it's a decent store. You got a lot of good stuff in here. So, for the amount of things you have in here, there's some pretty decent stuff. You should have some sales off this. Here's another good example here. Show one cover. Show the Beatles cover as the main image. Just one magazine and put lot of 21. That way they look and see, wow, it's already Beatles, the very first one, and they're going to look in there. That's a better chance than selling these. Price is decent. On this one here too, just watch out. A lot of people are going to send these media, so you're putting $27.35. You're almost doubling the fee that they're going to pay to get these, and everybody else is going to send them media for like $8-10 for the same amount. So just keep that in mind. Regulation-wise, you know, the advertisements can't have advertisements. That's for modern stuff, the stuff that's still valid. The advertisements in these are dead. So that's your call on how you handle that, but, you know, just keep that in mind and look into it a little better. Again, here, close-ups. Show some close-ups. I just sold a Cowboy Indian set just the other day. I showed it in a video, so I know these will sell. Your price is decent. Don't put the set numbers in here either. I wouldn't do that. And again, you're mixing up. You've got a lot of caps and you got some that aren't caps. Uniformity. Every title should all be set up the same way. Uniform for the inside of the listing, uniform for your titles. It looks like several different people might have done it when you see it like that. And they want consistency. That's why I say I do everything in-house, because I am consistent and try and make sure everything's done the same way every time. This one isn't bad here. This is a better example on doing the close-up on a shirt, but put white background. Just like your white background, and zoom in on like these cake pan sets. Some of these, you know, we've sold for some decent money. Your best one in here, it looks like you've got a Santa Claus. I would have like shown a close-up of just these as your key image, like the Santa and the Bert and Ernie. Price is decent, shipping's decent, a little washed out there. Again, photo quality. You're going to sell them, I guarantee you, with better photos and better quality images, you're going to sell them better. Like this one here, get rid of the colored background. You can still just crop this one down. Download a copy of this and then re-up it and crop it if you don't have multiple images on there. And again, I have a video on doing that in my how-to, so fixing photos, I think, is what it's called. Again, right here, don't put the ruler in here in the main image and crop straight around him, and brighten this up a little bit so the background should be white. You can tell this is what your background should look as close to the main background here, and you're way off on that. So if your background's way off, I would assume that's a white background. That means the image itself, the item itself, is off too. So anyway, and again, zoom in on it. Zoom in here. Cut up and zoom straight up. If you're not listing in the space NASA, let's see where you listed this one real quick. Yeah, I would probably list this one in like the NASA section, maybe even. If you don't sell it in this section in a little bit, I'd list it in NASA. And I never spend this much time with all these photos. I take, you know, one in the front, one in the back, and if I want to push it, I might take one or two, and that's it at the inside of the best images I can get in there. You know, don't spend that much time on it. I personally wouldn't, because it's going to sell the same whether there's 3 photos or 5 or 10. Usually, they want the issue. Anyway, let's move on. Let's go back over to here. This is a good item too here. I like that one too. I would probably get rid of that background again. As I said, it's not good practice. And if you want to ever do anything with these in the future, you can't put any of that stuff up on Amazon with all these backgrounds. It just won't work. And a lot of other sites go that route too. So, let's see, your conference season membership card. That's not a bad item. Now I'm not up on tapes wise. I don't mess with too many tapes, so that might be a decent price. We saw a lot of Carl Sagan stuff. Let's see here. I don't like pottery, but that's probably a decent price. But again, you can't see from your image. They're just probably going to pass you by as it is. And I usually don't put a date and the listing on stuff like this. You want them to come in and look at it, because North Carolina pottery has been around for a while, so you want them to bring this stuff in and be able to look at it. It's hard to tell what's going on with this here because you've got all this other stuff in the image. You just want the item. Same with the little stool there and the coat. And here, like this one here, chop it off at there. Force it to make the photo the full image, and that's it. This one, obviously, you want to show all of these, but just crop it off at the top and crop it off at the bottom. And you want to brighten that up a little bit. Again, the background's dark. There's, you know, other YouTubers as well, you know, that do this, and that's what I see me do, and that's what I see them do too. And again, on here, just kind of lay them out differently. Lay them out like they're sitting on a table, and then get down to their level like they're real animals crawling around on the table, and take a photo at that angle. That should be your main image. That's what I always try to do. Again, straight down shot. You don't need the ruler in the first image. Now, here's a better one. This is a good example. Take the ruler out there. and then just kind of crop down a little closer to it. Your color's off again on this one, that you're lighting or something. I'm not sure which it is at this point without seeing how you do it. Overall, though, again, white background would have been better on those. This one here, flip. Go ahead and flip that one. And take that ruler off. Again, you want just the image. You want to draw them in. Doesn't matter about any of the other stuff. You want to make them go into the image inside your listing to see how big it is. You know, that way they have to investigate this and see. Draw them in with the best possible image you can, and go from there. This one has been trimmed too. I did see this one here. It's trimmed at the top, which is a shame because the price is pretty decent. But again, you want to zoom in and put it close up to see the item. Don't worry about the word ads. Trade card is the key one. Market means I would take the market off and I would move the 1800s to the front. Trade card should be the last thing in the listing, because when you're looking at, like, from your phone or something, you're not even going to see that. That's fine because it says what category it's in already. So you want the key thing, which is it's old and it's for the coffee. And these are actually, this is a pirate scene from Bluebeard, if I'm not mistaken. So you could put pirate sword fight or sword combat or something along that line in the title instead of putting in market and ads. And you can even remove the Victorian if you would like to, and just keep the trade card, and then put pirates or swashbucklers battling or something along that line, and just show a close-up. Chop off everything but just the front of the card is this image. And again, as I said, you can fix it with here without even taking another photo. It would take you just a few moments. But it has been trimmed, and that can affect it a little bit in the value. Let's see here. Again, right here, I would zoom in, get all the other stuff out of the background. If you got to stand up on a chair in the kitchen and take it down on your floor with the white floor, that's fine too. Replacement items are great. That's a good thought. Your photo is a little washed out. Again, don't take these as an assault on you or anything like that. We're here trying to get you to do a little better and improve your sales. Like here, it's hard to tell. I would stand up like 5 or 6 of these and show a zoom in just on those with all the white background chopped out. No rule or anything like that. Let them know, or let them try and figure out what it is. Putting the size in here is fine if you want. Sometimes I do not put 1/72 in here on these, but I sure as heck would make them standing up like it's a real unit trying to fight, and just do a close-up zoom in on just a little key area, the key people standing up. Again, just like I said, put them on there like they're moving, like they're real people moving across, and get down at their level and take a parallel image of them so it looks like they're soldiers standing across. Even if you put that they're smaller, they're going to look bigger and better and closer and more detailed if you do that, and you're positively going to sell them at a better chance in doing it by doing it that way. So anyway, let's see here. Same like on here. It's too dark to tell what it is from here, so I would zoom in on just a few of these. I've seen these before too, yeah. Not a bad price. I'm not sure on these specifically ones. These might be 60s, so you might want to just double check. If they're 60s, that might make them sell a little better too. That one's not bad. You got a nice background on that one. The color looks pretty good. That's a pretty good one here. This one probably you're probably not going to sell that one either too. Those correspondence school stuff just doesn't sell. Good fan. That's a decent one. Nice, decent picture there. I usually try to get those, your booth lines out. You can't always do that, but I always try to. This one might not sell either. I'm questioning on this one, but if you are going to put this one up, your key photo, flatten it, show it flat. Now, if you can't get these flat, all you got to do is get a sheet of glass and just lay it over the whole thing. Sheet of glass, angle a light on either side, a little break so that the light isn't directly on the glass, and you won't have any reflection or anything from the glass, and you won't even know the glass is there when you take the photo. And then just show the main company title name as the main image on it. On something like this, you can even iron these, believe it or not. Let's see here. Again, zoom in on the better games. Same here, to have these standing up. Decent brand. Again, I do sell some of those too. I don't think they make metal ones though, but these are pewter. So I would literally put pewter collectible figures, and there's a section for that. Don't make conjectures based on that, because you can get called out on that by someone on eBay, and they might even turn it in as false advertising, because you can't prove that's what it is. You're not supposed to put that in there. Once in a blue moon, I've done it in the past, but I try to always avoid that. Yeah, this is a little better, but again, I'd put close up on there. I'd get rid of the background on that one too. Not a bad price, not a bad price, not a bad price. Your prices are good. It looks like you did some research here. Yeah, I've had these too. I'm always hesitant because sometimes I sell them and sometimes I don't. Decent item. Good photo on that one too. So that's what you want to look for, a whiter background. See how close it matches. Your background matches so close up here. That's what you want, because then the people looking at this knows that your color, your lighting, everything's right, and that the actual thing looks like it's supposed to. That's not a bad one. That's an oddball item there. I've got a big lot of these too. I don't know if I have that many worms, but or inchworms, I think they are. Again, that's a good one here for the hat. If you do that for the clothing and stuff, I'm not sure if that's technically hip-hop, but you could get away with it. I would say that's not the pocket structure, no, but I could be off on that one. That one's a little dark again. See, the background needs to match. You need to get the white background on this one. But overall, I mean, you've got a lot of decent stuff up. You've got a very good start. Here again, this one might sell a lot quicker. Just crop all the white off around the photo and just show just the car with just a matter of a little line of the photo showing all around it. Crop the side right here at the very edge where you obliterate all the rest of the photo other than the car. That should be your main image. Someone's going to buy that because of that car, but they can't see it, and there's maybe 20,000 photos of cars. You need to differentiate yourself and show a close-up of the lady sitting in the car. It looks like she's showing her legs on there too, so you can put sexy, auto car, vintage in there. Let's see. This one's a little late probably. That one might be a little harder to sell just because it's not 50s, 60s. And again here, if it's Vietnam War and there's a combat scene, show that cover right there. It looks like they're carrying a wounded soldier. Show that, or if that's a combat with something blowing up, show just that as the main image. Crop off, show most of the word life, and cut it around there. That should be your main image. Your title says there's more. Make them come in and look and see what the other issues are. Get them into your listing, and they might say, hey, well, 14 bucks, that's pretty good. I'll just go ahead and buy it. Again, close-ups here, close-ups here. Get rid of everything so you just see the item. Smaller items, sometimes you might not have as good of luck being able to do that, but cut as close as you can. When you hit the crop button, don't ever go below what it automatically gives you, because then the quality is probably going to fuzz out and you're going to have to redo it again. Let's see here. Crop around the photo, crop around it, crop around it. Background and color on this one. I'm going to, again, put these close together and crop out all this extra space so it forces you to zoom in on the item. But again, I would literally chop these down and show them up close. And like in here, show the covers of them and, get them close together. I don't usually spread anything out in the main image. You want it all just like a central image to draw them into the listing. That's what you want to do. Let's see here. Not bad, but again, show the key image here, show something neat, show it as the highlight of the item. Let's see here, let's move down a little farther. Again, but that's what I would do, even like on here, do a close-up if you're going to sell this here. Do a close-up of the item itself. Don't show the background in there, just plain pure white. Let's see here. Just like on the Mickey, same there. Good that you got this one running, that's fine, but I would have chopped out everything else just so it enlarges the part that you want to show. And like on here, this one's a little washed out, but not bad. You've got white background, good one there. Again, here I'd zoom in on the item itself. Same here. Now this one here, this is a good one here. But I would move up the, take out the word antique. And is this a, yeah, this is. And I would literally use the key spot, use the animal smoking the pipe, and I would put anthropomorphic eagles smoking pipe, military, rabbit, things along that line here, and put those in the front. You don't need the word advertise in there. Trade card is about it, and always put those at the end, as I said too, because what you want to do is highlight the key stuff, the important stuff. Trade card's not important because it's already in the trade card section. So even if you don't have the word trade card in your listing, if they type in trade card, this item's going to show up because it's in the trade card section. Again, take the antique out, the word antique, and you can put 1870s because that's when this card was made. Late 1870s, early 1880s. This is a nice card. It's a decent card. Personally, I would put like $34.50 on this is probably what I would have put on it, truthfully. And again, if you zoom in on the eagle where I'm showing you just the eagle, get rid of everything else, all the background, everything else, and just show up to the border of the card. So you've got like a quarter of an inch to the left of the eagle, crop it off the top of the rabbit's ears so you don't miss the ears, and then chop it down just to the right of the rabbit as well too. But that's what I would do on that one here. But that's a good card, very good card. But again, you have to highlight the card, zoom in, and you'd probably get a decent price for it that way. And even if it doesn't sell because it's tobacco, the image is going to sell it. But you have to have the image, the highlighted item. None of the measurements matter at all in the first image. Now, I didn't used to do that myself, and I do it now because the gentleman who wrote the book on it does it that way, and he sells enough that way. We've got all the listings on Amazon that way, all the cards and stuff we put on Amazon are listed that way as well too, and that does seem to make a difference across the board. So anyway, that's about what I got for you today. Pretty much explain pretty much what I think you should be doing on this. Again, some of these angles are a little off, but that's about all I would really worry about. Again, get rid of the background. Don't worry about the ruler in the main image. Get rid of the background. Just the item. Because if you want to cross promote, you get big, you're not going to be able to do it. Like on this one here, crap up all that extra stuff on there and just zoom in. Yeah, I might turn both of these sideways so it's really bright and shows polka dots all over. It might be a better drawing figure to it too. Labels here again, I would probably zoom in on the labels. Let me look at these real quick before I stop. I think these are 20s or 30s. Yeah, these do look early. Where do you have them listed? Not terrible spot where you've got them. I would say they're probably in the 20s or 30s. They are very vintage, probably decent, but again, zoom in on them. Zoom in. That top one's nicer than the bottom one. I just love the background. Denver, it's got some good opportunity to it. I would probably put circa 1920s instead of the word antique. Face chart and labels. Yeah, everything else is pretty decent. I'd raise the price probably too, personally. I don't put much on that price unless they've been up for a long time. I'd probably put like $17.50 on the pair of those. Again, but only show close-up. Get rid of all the white. Just show the labels themselves. But that's about it then, I guess, we got here. That gives you a real good idea, some good starts. Take it as a grain of salt. I'm not the know-it-all of every single thing and everything that's going to make everything sell, but I guarantee you if you do some of what I told you, it's going to increase your sales. And the more you get up, the better you're going to be at this. The more you do it, the better you're going to be. And you, as you said, you were starting, so this is just, it's a learning experience for everybody. Again, I had to learn all this on my own. I'm trying to cut you off and save you some of that time and telling you how I do it now and what's changed our sales and increased our sales. So again, nothing is done here as a personal. This is literally strictly basis on increasing your sales and worrying about the sales. Because you've got some decent items on here. And again, some of them you've got underpriced a little bit, and some of them are right on the money. So, some of the items, it just shows that you did do some research on here, which is good. So you got the ballpark, you got the idea down. Even like this one's good. That's good that you just zoomed in on that. Like here, it's hard to tell what that is. Zoom in. White background, So anyway, that's what we got today. Hopefully that gives you some ideas. Hopefully there's no offense taken. Hopefully you understand this is just a business thing. This is literally what I would tell my employees. Hey, you need to do this. You need to do that every day if that's what I've got to do. But that's how I am, and this is where it's addressed at. Just try and get you some more money into this. Get you in more invested in this and helped you to understand how these things work and what's easier to sell them at. So if you got any questions on what I said, I missed something or I was off the ball on something, just hit me back up and no problem at all. And we'll go from there. Hopefully everybody got something out of this. Hopefully you can kind of get an idea on what I look for and how I address things and things that I change in my listings. And again, I still have some bad listings. So, if you got a point, from this point on and for the last few years, we don't do any of these issues. We've fixed them, but it's just sometimes hard when you've got like 10,000 listings and there's a certain percentage of those that are bad that you don't want to take too much time to go back in and do them. But when we do run specials and stuff, I usually fix photos. We do so many a week, basically. An employee will spend a couple hours here, do some fixing, and then all new after that. But again, Don the Auction Professor, if you hit the bell up top, you'll get a notification whenever I post a new video or we go live. If you like the video, please hit the like button below, subscribe, and tell a friend.